The average, say, 65-year-old person in this country is on how many drugs?
About 7.
7.
Yeah.
And not just intermittently, but like over
Chronic.
years.
Around chronic lifetime. It's more recurring revenue.
So describe what that looks like.
I'll give you an example. My mom. So my mom was 71 and went, for a checkup and was told by the doctor she was healthy. And she was actually at the time on 7 lifetime medications. So she was on, maybe a decade before, had high cholesterol, was prescribed a statin. And the message from the doctor was, no problem. Most, the majority almost of people your age are on a statin. No problem. That's a rite of passage. Then she had high fasting glucose. Again, that's basically prediabetes, which majority of people have. Metformin, one of the most prescribed drugs in the country, high blood pressure. So she has these comorbidities that are almost seen as like rites of passage. It's a rite of passage for a man over 40 to be on a statin. The majority are. So these were all kind of normal things. So as we've treated everything in silos, that's a lie. Heart disease, diabetes, in many ways depression, Alzheimer's. We've actually lied saying those are different conditions, seeing 4 different doctors for 4 different treatments that don't even talk to each other. So we're managing the symptoms instead of seeing those symptoms and realizing that we have a root cause metabolic crisis. That's why the more statins we prescribe, the more heart disease goes up. The more metformin we prescribe, the more diabetes goes up. The more SSRIs we prescribe, which are now 25% of women.
The higher the suicide rate goes.
We're seeing skyrocket. So we're siloing everything.
Statin drugs are prescribed to the majority of American men over 40?
The last rate, I think 2019, the last study I said was 45%. And I think there's reports that now post-COVID, it's close to 50%.
So what's the downside of statin drugs?
Oh, there's wild research coming out. I mean, the highest level, just even if the drugs don't have no side effects, heart disease isn't a statin deficiency. What statins to me at the most important level represent that we have a moral hazard. Fundamentally, when you're prescribed that statin, you're told by the doctor that you're doing something. When you're prescribed the Ozempic, the doctor, Fatima Stanford on 60 Minutes, who's paid off doctor from Ozempic, said, throw willpower out the window. This is a brain disease. Food isn't the problem. It's a medical issue. Take Ozempic. Do not worry about what you're eating.
This is exactly what Purdue Pharma said about pain.
Yeah. So you have these messages. You have the statins. You're doing something. You now can eat what you want to eat. Until 2018, the American Diabetes Association said that as long as you take your medications, you do not need to change your diet as a diabetic. So you literally have guidance from the American Heart Association, from the American Diabetes Association, now from the obesity industrial complex, saying that if you take these drugs, you're good. But that's a lie, because there's never been a drug in American history for a chronic condition that has lowered the rate of that chronic condition. If you add up all the line items we're spending on healthcare just to manage diabetes, it's more than the defense budget.
The U.S. government spends more managing diabetes than it does on defense?
If you want to stack rank what would bring down the American Republic, it's not, marginal rates of military spending. It's not, what the marginal tax rate is. Our biggest line item in our budget, the biggest part of our economy is healthcare, and it's also the fastest growing industry. Healthcare is the largest and the fastest growing industry in the United States. The bulk of that spending is coming from the government. And as it grows, it produces worse results. We're training doctors, medical schools, pharma companies, hospitals, doctors, nurses, insurance companies. They make money when people are sicker for longer periods of time. The way to do that is to silo conditions. That's why Ozempic is so important, because obesity is not a siloed condition. Obesity is a visible example that we are losing our way as Americans, and treating that in a silo is just medically not going to work, and it's happening because of corruption.
Are you sick and tired of being part of this unhealthy medical system? Want to get rid of belly fat and reverse disease so you can get off medications? Then click the link below this video. It's my calendar. You can get on that and we can talk about what's going on with your particular situation. And remember, I only work with men that are over the age of 50 who want to do it the natural way while preserving muscle. Look forward to talking to you on the other side.